when you're looking from the goals, it's hard to see, and then you get the wave up. I think you think it must be within scoring range, and then when you get up there and see it's 60 no, you know where this is going. And then when you get up there and you see it's 60 yards, you think, Jesus.
The GA Hour is sponsored by Paddy Power. For exclusive content from their GA ambassadors and other high-profile contributors, check out news.paddypower.com.
Alright lads, we're going to start off with Eamon Fitzmaurice because he's a revelation on Twitter, as we mentioned recently on the show. So Greg Kennedy made the big headlines on the hurling show, so I presume you're aware of this.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so
I
you
watched
know
3 hurling games at the weekend, Billy.
Did you?
Oh yeah. But don't ask me about any analysis.
Giving out as you were watching it. This is a joke. Yeah, that was a bit annoying that the Ulster match wasn't until 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was like, geez, you'd like it to come on straight away after it.
Yeah.
I thought I got something wrong here as well. And then 7 always brings you up to bloody League Sunday. It's too long, and I've no time to prep the show. And these deferred games at 7 mess me up altogether. So
it's also too long to wait to not get the results. Like, you know, so there you're playing at 4-3. So you're like, I'm not going to wait that long.
Yeah. Do you know I actually checked the result because I went, if Tyrone beat them by 20 points, I don't need to watch all this game.
Oh, exactly what I did. Yeah.
But then when I saw the result, I have to watch this now. There's definitely stuff coming out of this. But anyway, Eamon Fitzmaurice was talking about the Greg Kennedy incident, and he made a great point and something I hadn't thought of. And he says, while Greg Kennedy incident has brought matters to a head this week, it was no huge shock to me as Maor Fóirne role has been exploited for some time, as every team, including ourselves, have sought to push it to its limits. Tony McEntee was a great man to spot and fill space on an opposition kick-out as he slowly withdrew from the pitch, disrupting the goalkeeper's appreciation of space. JO is a good man to drag his backside when required also. That's fantastic stuff. Like, I didn't really think that obviously they're running in a break in play, which is a kick-out, and as they're getting off the field, one wing is completely a target for a kick-out, and you're strolling across it nice and slowly.
Yeah.
How have I not noticed this before?
Yeah.
And he says J.O. drags his arse. Now, I don't notice J.O. drag his arse. I have a clear memory of Tony McEntee practically walking off that field.
Yeah.
J.O. always is in a little bit of a jog. Now, I'm sure he could run faster, but it was just when I read it, I went, Jesus, that's exactly what they're doing.
He's going to be under the spotlight a lot more now this year, J.O. But like the Kennedy thing, not to get into hurling analysis, but that was like really strange because he just went over and stood beside a kick. There was no reason.
Well, that was, we've said on the hurling show, that was cheating.
Yeah.
There's no other word for
there was
that.
nothing he could dress up. There wasn't a Dublin player beside him. He just literally marked him just to make sure the ball wasn't going there. But sure, like Fitzmaurice had Liam Hassett, who was never off the pitch. Now, I don't know if he was dragging his arse, but he was always just running, doing laps. I was tired watching him against Mayo up at Croke Park that time. They drew. He was just constantly doing laps of the pitch. Yeah. Maybe he was doing that too.
And then you have the poacher with Carlo, and Laois players have told me what he gets up to when he's running in past them and things he might be saying. And it's like, I don't know, have they a shelf life, lads? Are they done? Most counties are using ex-players. They've been on that field or close to that action. I don't know. Like I was saying, Greg Kennedy obviously doesn't have the mentality for the role, and some fellas do and some fellas don't. If you're emotionally invested in that group of players and you run on the field and there's a flashpoint and you're an ex-player, very, very difficult not to get involved in that.
That's it, yeah.
Whether it's verbals, and they've no business getting involved. Like mentors, and we were very consistent on this, anyone on the sideline in a management capacity has no business ever interfering with a player, and that's verbal, physical, anything. So I don't think we're losing anything from the game getting rid of these lads altogether. If the GA want to do it, they're on the go since 2006. There was an effort to clear up congested sidelines, and the idea in 2006 was that the whole management team go up into the stands and you have a runner. So this was the runner. It's in Australian rules as well. This came in 2006. Then obviously all the managers kicked up and didn't want to go into the stands. So then I think there was 5 allowed in the stands, but the Maor Fóirne stayed. And then there was Liam O'Neill tried to reduce the numbers on the sideline again, and I think they were reduced just to medical staff or whatever, and a manager and a selectors up in the stand. But the Maor Fóirne stayed in that kind of one as well. I'm not sure. Like, I mean, the whole idea is that they can bring instructions into players. But like the old school way of telling your wing back to tell your centre back, maybe you could. I don't know. Like,
well, maybe it'd be more. I've heard you say before that like you can't hear yourself in Croke Park, for example, when passing on instructions. So maybe it would be useful then. But like, it's just that's the thing that drives me daft. And there's been some real high profile incidents since the Maor Fóirne has come in, and I remember, and Darragh O'Shea was actually recalling in his column this week, was John Toll. Do you remember John Toll against Paul Galvin? I think Paul Galvin ended up getting the second yellow. And I'll obviously never forget when Mayo and Kerry got in a big row in Limerick in 2014. And it was the skills coach that Mayo had at the time, Ed Coughlin, ended up getting involved in a pulling and dragging match with somebody.
I remember that.
I think he I don't know, I think Donny Buckley might have been there as well, and who dragged who into it. But just looks terrible as well, you know. And like, because I know as a player, the one thing that drives me absolutely mental is when somebody who's not involved in the field play comes in.
It flares up.
Absolutely, completely. Whether they get involved, whether pushing or shoving, or even just saying something to you, it absolutely drives me daft. So they're going to have to weigh up. Obviously, this is such a high profile incident. They're going to have to weigh up, you know, weigh up the merits of a runner and whether they're actually worthwhile kind of going forward.
Well, the point of the matter is, Eamon Fitzmaurice is telling us that they're pushing it to the limits and they're interfering with kickouts. That, for me, that's the end of it. Like, there's no argument for them if this is what they're doing, and they're being very subtle about it by being really slow coming off the field, closing down space on a wing for a kick out. Done.
Forget about it.
I'm done with them now. I didn't know this was going on. So I say I don't think their pros outweigh the con of actually interfering with the 15 players that are on the field. For me, I would be in favour of just getting rid of them.
Does the Maor Fóirne do the water as well? Or is there another somebody
the water can't come on though, can't they? They just throw? Are they thrown on?
They're just thrown on now, is it?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure. I don't know. So look, we'll see what the story with this is, and it is a big flashpoint and it is a big talking point, and whether they want to do away with them, I don't think too many people will lose. The only people that will probably miss them are managers. I don't see players missing them too much, because often you're coming on, and I remember often when you're trying to be given advice in a game and there's a break in play, you're almost like you know what I mean, you're stop annoying me, I'm doing my best, or that's my attitude. So imagine there's a break in play, a lad's running out to you no, but seriously, you're in a championship match now, unless it's you're switching wings, that's okay. But if it's kind of like, well, you need to do this, get away, we've been through this, and I'm trying, like, I can't catch my breath. Like, I wouldn't think players will miss them at all.
Darragh O'Shea told a great story actually in his column. He said that Ger Power used to be the runner for the international rules, but he said he'd been retired a while. He ended up pulling the hamstring, but he said that he went on to give him instructions, right? And Darragh O'Shea tried to give him instructions to tell Stephen Cluxton. And Ger Power looked and he saw the distance between him and Stephen Cluxton. He's like, I'll get him at half time.
Oh, classic. You can't beat Darragh for the old anecdotes. So Fitzmaurice then wrote a piece in the Examiner, and this is brilliant. I don't know if you've read this, but this really made me think, just as the level of preparation. And to be fair to Fitzmaurice, he never really has sold himself, like to the extent that Jim McGuinness would have sold himself. Now, Jim, I suppose, wrote a book, so, you know, but you would have been in no doubt that McGuinness would have forensically analysed the opposition, sat in a room, because he told all of us that's what he did. That kind of perception of Fitzmaurice isn't really there when he did the very same thing. So he used to love the video analysis, and he used to love breaking down teams and finding patterns of play. And that's always the thing. Like, you watch the video, and I did analysis for Air Sport, and that's what you're looking for all the time. So you're looking at a camera behind the goals, and you might just focus in the first half on watching the full forward line every time and seeing who's breaking and where's he breaking to. And if you see him breaking 5 times out of 7 to the left-hand side, you will be telling your players this is where he likes to go. There has to be a pattern, you know. Or kickouts, obviously patterns from kickouts are really easy to spot, because that's more or less statistics, you know. But, like, I mean, where lads like to run, but like that's time consuming, you know. And it's like watching over and over to see what this lad likes to do. But anyway, so they did a lot of analysis on Durcan in goals for Donegal, and they knew from their analysis that at times they would place a player, usually Leo McClune, behind Kieran Donaghy's back as we face the kickouts to create a 4 versus 3. So they'd bring McClune back down behind Kieran Donaghy's back, and Donegal would have obviously pushed down. McClune would be an extra man, and they would just chip it either side of Donaghy into McClune's hands, and everyone else would have a man. And Will Kerry probably had a sweeper the other end and weren't prepared to aggressively push up, because that was the analysis at the time. He says, we knew that Durcan would chip little kicks out to McClune, particularly when Donegal were under pressure. So bang, there's your go-to. 2 points in a row from Kerry. What's their go-to kick out? See, this is all things that he's finding patterns with. And he says, we had rehearsed that Kieran would guess a side each time as the keeper was just about to kick the ball based on how he was positioning himself. So again, this is just fantastically, I don't want to use the word fascinating because I hate it. It's more of a RTE word. But, like, I mean, so Donaghy's not looking around. He's just guessing. He knows McClune is either on his left shoulder or his right shoulder. He's not looking around or he's giving the game away, but he knows. So he's like a goalie in soccer guessing the side of a penalty, right? So like, I mean, this is Fitzmaurice again. Kieran's mentality was to be like a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout. All he needed was one chance, but it could be the difference. Durkin was kicking well, but Kieran deserves massive credit for having the mentality, concentration and patience to stick at it, and eventually in the 52nd minute the movement arrived when he guessed right and he showed composure to crash home the crucial goal. Like, isn't that just fecking brilliant? Imagine the feeling of all of them after. Imagine Fitzmaurice winning. His analysis and his preparation of his team has won an All-Ireland final. Like, it just must be an incredible feeling.
And the beauty of that kick out, I remember it was actually 3v3 at the time, but Doherty allowed the Donegal man to be free, and he sort of stepped over, and it was like two Kerry lads were marking Paddy McGrath or whatever. And then when Doherty saw Durkin going to take that handy ball, he just took off. And then it wasn't a great ball from Durkin, but Doherty was there and took off. Like, he was always like, go ahead, chip it. Yeah. Like, dared him into it and nailed it.
That's preparation. That's preparation, and that's analysis, and that's exact. Now, he did criticise pundits for not watching back games. Now, you would have to say, while I completely agree with him, watching a game back, I don't have time to watch a game back before I start the show on a Monday. The Sunday game lads don't have time to watch a game back. That's why we're missing that forensic Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night show where you've got a full day to sit down watching a match and go over it 2 or 3 times and find patterns and give proper analysis. We don't have that, which is a pity. And like, Eamon Fitzmaurice probably would be a fantastic guest.
Yeah, imagine that.
To do that, and and Derek McGrath maybe on the hurling, and I think the public would have what they want. But anyway, talking about highlights and analysis shows and everything, Sky have cranked it up a notch. So, is this Sky's 5th year? Or the 3 years then last year? Yeah, I think this is their 5th year.
2013, I want to say it was.
Okay,
it was
13, 14, 15, 16. Effect then it's way past this.
Anyway, I think, yeah.
Okay, right. Well, they're about. I thought they had a 3-year deal and then went into a 5-year deal.
2014, yeah, not 100%.
Yeah, okay, so a 3-year deal, then a 5-year deal. I think they're in year 2. I'm going to say 5 years, right? So I could be wrong on that, and it'll be my fault then, right? So last night they had a show, weekly GAA roundup. Sky Sports Arena tonight at 9 o'clock. Catch up on all the weekend's action. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch this, but Rachel Wise was very fast to remind me. She tweeted me last night, "Hey Woodberta, you should tune in, or at best be factually correct!" ! Contrary to what you've been saying, we do show all GA highlights every week during our coverage. Now, you haven't. Maybe you are this year, so I'll stand corrected on this year, but I think we've always been critical of Sky for not using their highlights rights outside of a package online package, which wouldn't be all that attractive. So now that they're doing it, I'm not going to criticise them for doing it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing. My idea on highlights on a Wednesday might be a little bit late for me in the week. You're kind of past that weekend. On a Wednesday, I want something more. I want a bit of in-depth analysis. Yeah. You want a different style of a show. Sunday, even when TG Caher show highlights on a Monday night, we've done 2 shows today, and you're kind of wrapped up on that weekend. I don't often watch those highlights, actually. Yeah. You're kind of...
Wednesday would nearly need to be a mixture of. It would need to be a preview for the following weekend as well.
Maybe even, or a little bit of a magazine style show with some in-depth analysis and more than an entertaining show. I think highlights, Sunday game, I've done them Sunday night. You're 3 days after. I'm not sure that's how to use. It's a wise way. Now, I haven't seen the show, so I don't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah, I suppose one of the disappointing things for me about Sky is that they don't shout about it enough. It's such a powerhouse. We've seen them what they do with the Premier League, and I know it's a completely different entity, but even netball, I've seen them drum that up and get an audience into that.
Fishing.
Fishing. But do you know what I mean? You see it plastered all over.
They promote their live games very well, but the whole package across the week, they don't.
Yeah.
Now, there's no Premier League on during the summer. I don't see why they don't do it. Now they're starting to do it. Rachel says we do show all GA highlights, so I'm not sure if she's saying they did for the whole last 5 years. They didn't have anything the last 5 years, or else I'm going absolutely mental.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was trying to find out, but I couldn't this morning. Yeah, so that's it. Rachel, we can't criticise you anymore now for the highlights. We'll have to find something else to give out about. So Darren Mulhern. This was interesting, and I was reading this last week. We didn't have a time on Monday. So he is 46. So when I read this, lads, I read this before the Laois Masters played Dublin, and I was thinking, geez, if John Sugrue was over at this now and I played well, you'd never know what might happen. No, I'm only joking, but he's 46, so he played in a county final last year with his club, right? But what I wasn't sure about is that he had been involved in the Waterford panel in 1989. So he says the father of three wasn't expecting a second bite of the cherry some 30 years later. So this isn't a fella now, I'm not high up on my Waterford football. So I was thinking maybe he played a bit in goals, you know, he might be 5 or 6 years out of the game and he was pulled back in as an emergency because we know it's an emergency. He hadn't been on the panel since 1989. It's a fantastic story. 30 years later, this lad gets back in. And he had lost his job with Virgin Media a few days before he got the call. He had been 19 years with Virgin Media. He got the call from Benji Whelan. He said, I got redundancy, so this is a good distraction. I might become a professional footballer. I don't want a job until the football is over. And he says, I would have given up on it years ago. I started in goal and then I went outfield for the club for a long time. I went back in goal about 10 years ago. So he was talking about his children not really even being into football. And, well, his son isn't. His daughters kind of are, and all his family went to the game. And he said it was just fantastic. Imagine that at 46. And then to keep a clean sheet and almost beat Clare. Fantastic stuff. Darren Mulhern. I must try and give him a ring here before the next game.
1989. Like, I can barely remember Maor in the All Ireland final in 1989. I can
Did
barely remember
lose?
watching that. What do you think, Willie? That's just crazy to be involved 30 years later. Like, there's some people. There's probably lads in the Waterford panel that were born after 2000, and he played in he played in the Waterford panel 11 years before they were even born. It's absolutely crazy.
These boys has all changed here today.
They call him Grandad or something in there or something, don't they?
There's like WhatsApp groups and all. Back when I was playing, we sent letters to carrier pigeons or something.
Oh, God.
Right, so we'll finish up on this, lads, because we have Rory Beggan coming up next. This is the hype train, the 5-in-a-row hype train. So James McCarthy was doing a media day on Monday. A couple more were actually. Ryan McHugh was at it. I would love to have gone to it, but we were recording the podcast, and he was asked about the 5-in-a-row. You know, they're just going to have to get used to this. So obviously with the Dublin players, they have a lovely kind of answer for this. It's kind of, this is James. From our perspective, we never talk about in a row and all that kind of stuff. Textbook. He said every year, as you can see, league first, then it's championship. Same thing this year. All our focus is on the next game. People are going to say it to you. Everybody knows it's out there. People are going to wish you well. That's the perspective I take on it. It doesn't add any extra pressure or any of that. So here we go. The Dublin players can swat these questions away until they're in the final. Then the next game is the 5-in-a-row, right? So I don't know what. Like, I'm looking forward to
They're going to give the same answer.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's just the next game. But then you say, but that will potentially lead to 5-in-a-row.
It's just game 7.
That's the way we look at it. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think when Dublin get into the final, they should get into the final. Maybe, yeah, well, okay, if they do get into the final, I think Jim Gavin will pull all media before the final. I don't think he'll expose his players to any questions like that.
They usually do a sort of training session where the fans are all down and the media's there, don't
Dublin
they?
do?
Well, they definitely have a meet and greet with the fans anyway every
Right.
year.
Yeah.
He might do that. I don't think he'll have any of his players answering any questions of
Not
5-in-a-row.
even an obligatory media night. Isn't there one before he all?
I don't think he will.
I would send James McCarthy if that's what he's
Yeah. Well, he's played a blinder there, hasn't he?
Spray on a tape and press play, and the answer that I had
It's
last
the same
time.
as every year. League, O'Byrne Cup, League, Championship. Okay, so that's it. All right, we'll be back with Rory Beggan. So we're here in Croke Park at the launch of Cool Heroes, and I'm with Rory Beggan. Rory, how's it going?
Not too bad. What about yourself?
You're a little bit under the radar, I think, Monaghan. There's not much talk about you this year. Maybe coming off not the best league in the world, and maybe people put too much stock into that kind of form. There's not much hype around Monaghan. Would that be fair to say?
I haven't really delved into it that much. There doesn't seem to be much talk about the games at the minute, but that doesn't really pass us really as a team. We just sort of focusing on a job in hand in 2 weeks' time, and we don't really look into the media that much anyway in terms of reading papers or that. So it hasn't really caught our attention that much.
Yeah. How do you put your league form down to? I know you've had injuries, but you usually perform well in the league, and you target the league. You want to do well in it. What do you put the league form down to this year? Because you're obviously brilliant start beating Dublin, and that was a great performance. And then it went a bit pear-shaped after that.
Yeah, it wasn't what we planned or targeted to do. We were just, in some games we were narrowly beaten by a point, and those were games we were sort of winning last year. And it was just flipped on it that we were fighting relegation this year. And not too many years that you finish on 4 points and still escape relegation. So there's an element of luck to it too. I'm not sure what it was down, and maybe poor performances, maybe beaten by better teams in the day. That's just maybe what it was down to. I can't really put your nail on it, but obviously we weren't happy with facets of the league and what didn't go well or so on. But we stayed up, and that was the main thing. We're still in Division 1 for another year.
Yes, you can just park that and move on now. What about yourself? Any added pressure now? You have that All-Star in the bag. You putting any more pressure on yourself, or how's your form?
No, I take it year on year. 2018's over for me now. It's anything that happened last year is completely put away now for the next while, and it's focusing on trying to keep it them standards for this year. I don't try to associate with any outside pressures or anyone people trying to expect more. I'll continue to do what I've been doing, train the way I've been training, and hopefully I can pull it in some of the performances.
Well, is that the pressure that maybe if people do want you, because you've been evolving most years, or do you feel a little bit of your own pressure to come with something new this year that we haven't seen before, or a new kick out, or moving up the field a bit more? Does that ever come into your head to maybe be changing your game?
No, I think that sort of comes naturally, unless teams talk about it and try to do something. I don't try to add something new to my game. I just whatever I can do to help the team as best as possible. And I know I'm probably firing out loads of cliches here, but for me, I don't want to be putting any extra onus on myself to do something new. If it's anything that I can do to help the team move up the field quicker or get the play switched or get the play set up, I'll do it. But for me, I'm probably going to put a wee bit more towards protecting the goals a lot more instead of maybe making the drives outfield.
Right, okay. Because I think, did you concede 3 goals last year from high balls into the square? Is that something that you're, when you work on things in training, what would, was just your goalkeeping coach lobbing balls in, but that's not recreating a dangerous scenario in a match?
You just have to prepare yourself and just back yourself in the day if any of them balls do come in, and unfortunately, as you were saying, we'll probably beat to a few goals then. It's something you can't really lobby for. You can't make it as realistic in goalkeeping training. You just have to practice your catch and practice just be dominant and be confident yourself that you're gonna get that ball anytime it comes in.
Yeah. Okay, talk quickly about the All-Star, because I know it's old news now, but I haven't spoken to you since you got the All-Star. There was so much controversy around it, and it seems to be the same with Stephen Cluxton every year because he's such a legend of the game, and if he loses out, it was the same with Clark beating him 2 years in a row, and you beat him then. And they're in the middle of this huge era. Did all that kind of controversy, what were you thinking when you're reading that? Because your stats were marginally better than his. There shouldn't have been the controversy that there was.
Yeah, it didn't bother me in the slightest. We got a bit of slagging actually about it over Christmas, in terms of it, but it didn't really bother me at the end of the day. You're being compared with the best keeper of all time.
Yeah.
You're going up against the best keeper of all time. So that's just a compliment in itself. And there's going to be debates in any position. There's debates probably in the team this year and other positions as well. So that was just important in terms of and for the goalkeeping position. There's only one place for it, and you're coming up against 32 other keepers for that position. So yeah, there's always going to be a debate for the goalkeeping position each year, and it does reflect back to Stephen. Obviously hasn't won one since 2013, and yeah, there is lobbying for discussion there, but. I was just delighted to get it, and it didn't really bother me who was saying what.
Yeah, we were joking on the podcast the way they move everybody else around. They could play one of you full back because you're out around there anyways. It'd be nice to get a full back All-Star, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, if Stephen plays outfield for the club, maybe better argument for him maybe going out the field, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen some year.
Yeah, but Cluxton's obviously a hero of yours growing up. I saw a quote from you saying that it's not the fat kid who goes in goals anymore. It's a skill position because of Cluxton.
Yeah,
and that's pretty accurate, I'd say.
It is, yeah. You see, every team now is trying to do what Dublin are doing. Obviously, it's got a winning pedigree towards what they're at. So, growing up watching him obviously scored a free in 2011 to watching him hitting I seen the best performance from a goalkeeper in terms of kickouts in the 2013 final against Mayo. So, you know, people watch that and try to emulate that in clubs around the county and even underage teams and senior teams and senior county teams are all trying to emulate what Dublin are doing. So obviously not just myself who he's had that influence over.
Yeah, so but that was true. I was thinking back to our underage goalkeepers and they were failed outfield players, whereas now, like, I mean, it's not really that. Goalkeeping, I think, I don't know if it's fair to say that goalkeepers have more respect nearly at this, you know what I mean, with the skill set that they have to bring, rather than when you started and you've said on record, and remember Fergal Byron got an All-Star and he was straight down the middle. Just once you have a good kick, that's kind of why you're in goals, and whereas now it's a much more rounded position. Yeah,
I know I'd be involved in coaching myself at home, and now I'd always be saying to my goalkeepers, just try and find someone with the ball, because you know, that's just the way the game's going, and there's no point coaching them just to kick the ball out the field, because you know, when they grow up and you know, the game's going to be a lot more different and a lot more expected from goalkeepers, so you're trying your best at underage to train these goalkeepers up to what they're going to be exposed to. So that's just the way the game's gone now, and you see some teams still adopt that kick out down the middle, but most of the time now it's, if there's 100%, give it. If not, try and find someone.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about Steve Williams and how much he's helped you, because obviously it's a collaboration between yourself evolving and his help, and probably Malachy O'Rourke then as well. And like he said, he changed your technique, he changed your shot stopping, he changed everything. So, like, I mean, how did he come in and help you? I know he's been saying things about a shorter run-up, so you can obviously disguise your kick out a lot better if you get the shorter run-up. But that's not really technique. So, what has he brought to your game, I suppose, all around?
I suppose when I first was brought in 2011 to the Monaghan senior team, he was the goalkeeping coach at the time, and back then when the kickouts maybe were just starting to change, it was mostly just kicking it down the middle. So that was what my strong point was. It was a long kick down the field, and I didn't really have the technique, or didn't really have anything like the run up or anything to hit these short kickouts. So
you were just running a good bit back.
I was setting the ball down and going back to my setup of 10, 12 steps away, and just picking a spot out in the middle and just kicking it.
Hitting it. Because he says the run up makes no difference. Like 2 steps is no different to 10. It's your technique and your connection is what gets you the distance, not the run up, which I thought was interesting, that you might need a bit more.
You know, you're running up and you're focusing on a point on the ball, and you know, you might hit that point, whereas 2 steps you have a lot more control over where you're striking the ball. That's what he was saying, and that's what I sort of found is you have a better chance of striking the ball better, you have a better chance of hitting it shorter, medium or long when you have those 2 or 3 steps. Whereas back then, you know, you're not walking 12 steps to kick the ball, you're running 12 steps to kick the ball, and it's very hard to stop yourself and then kick it shorter that there. So
yeah, if you're not in step, so the faster you're going, the harder it is to hit the point in the ball that you want to hit. So that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Like, I'd be watching Man City there at the minute with Ederson, like, and he the way he does it, he stands beside the ball and tries to give whatever pass he can, but it's 2 steps back for him, and he's penaled at the other end of the field, like no problem to him.
So just that simple bit of advice, do you know what I mean? Do you think that in JEA there's not enough goalkeeping coaches like that, you know? Because when the game was just belted down the middle, I see a lot of counties have ex-players from a different generation as their goalkeeping coach, and I'm wondering, sure, they wouldn't have the technical expertise maybe to be coaching a goalkeeper. Do some counties maybe just tick a box? You were very lucky that you got Williams was involved.
Yeah, no, I agree with your point there. There's probably not enough for goalkeeping coaches out there. Like, in terms of qualifications or that, you have your foundations and all that for your outfield, for your management, but you don't have a goalkeeping one for GAA, and I don't know whether that's in the pipeline. I couldn't tell you, but I know for soccer there's a serious approach and serious qualifications to get for goalkeeping coaches, and maybe that's obviously where Steve's basis is. He's Dundalk FCE goalkeeping coach as well, so he obviously also has qualifications. So we're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
So there's not, but I don't think there's enough out there for goalkeeping coaches, and I think maybe I know I'm learning a lot as a goalkeeping coach myself from Steve Williams, because he's obviously learning from more qualified people. So
he's helped you with shot stopping as well. I think I was reading, you said the way you set yourself up for it. So what give us an example of that? Just
it's pretty basic. It's just me would be standing in the goals, and I'd be a tall enough fella. It's just maybe getting yourself a wee bit lower and stuff like that, just to set yourself up for the shot, because it's a long way down from where I am to save the low.
But have a wide base, or I think
it's just shoulder width apart, and just sort of bend the knees a wee bit, and just reacting to the shot wherever it goes and trying not to judge it, or because if you judge it and go the wrong way, you look like an idiot. So
to not judge it, keep him honest and make him hit the corner.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
it doesn't work all the time, but I felt you see a lot more shots now than I would have a couple of years ago.
Right, because I was listening to Neville Southall one day, and he was talking about David De Gea, and he saves loads with his feet. And Southall was saying that's actually not good technique. If you're saving them with your feet, you're not doing it right. And I thought that was I never would have ever thought of that. I don't know if that's something Williams would have said to you, that your technique shouldn't really be using your feet.
Yeah, probably right in a way, but I think it's very hard not to use your feet if balls are coming in a general area. It's a quick reflex to get away, and usually when it hits your foot, it goes a long enough way away. It rarely comes back into the injury area. But I don't want to be arguing. Obviously, didn't have to Southall. Don't want to be arguing against David De Gea either. So.
Yeah, exactly. Come here, talk to us about the kickouts then. So you're putting the ball down on the ground. It's after a free, so the other team has pushed right up, right? What is that like to look out on the field and see zonal press and very few options? Like, I mean, what's going on through your head at that stage? Say against Dublin, for example, because when you look up, what are you seeing?
Yeah, you're seeing blue jerseys or whatever jersey it is, and you're just saying to yourself, let's just try and find somebody here, whatever way it is. And there's times you're going to get it, and there's times it's going to end up being a 50-50, and that's just the way it is, whatever the way the team's set up. But Dublin probably have it down to a T at times.
They go zonal, right? Yeah. So they're almost offering you the short one, are they? And then they'll go down.
They're tempting you probably into it more. So I'd say Dublin usually have the plan to tempt you into it and then sort of press high. But a lot of teams are different in the way they do it. They find different ways to do it. So there's days you'll get it away, there's days you just won't get it away, and that's just the way. Yeah. That's just what you're looking out for. But you just need to be just ready for them situations and just make sure you don't get blown up.
But that's the thing about blowing up, because there's a few different things. If you spend too long over it, you'll get blown up, and that's one thing you absolutely don't want. But if you run up and it's not on and run back, you're setting panic right throughout your team. So I mean, the most important thing, and we were saying on the podcast, is just for how goalkeepers under that intense pressure can just look like Cluxton and yourself, you just look like it's completely calm. When straight away there's nothing on for you. So you're like, someone better move here, I'm going to get blown up, the crowd's going to get on my back, I'm going to run up and there's nothing on and run. You know what I mean? Like, there's
probably just a bit of trust with your team that they're going to make that run for you, and then they're obviously have to trust in you that you're going to find them. And I think it's just the way that you sort of have to look calmer. The referee will pick up on it, crowd will pick up on it, other teams will pick up on it and try and obviously influence the referee. So if you just try and look calm, and something will pop up. If you're rushing yourself, then you're gonna fluff the kick out or kick it not where you wanted to kick it. So it's just not to getting panicked in that situation and just trying to find the right option. And if not, it's just making sure it's not giving them any opportunity to get a goal chance or an attack. So you maybe get it out long or whatever.
That's the thing. Do you think so in some way that there's been such an obsession on the short kick out that the long kick out is being neglected, in that when the press is on, the long kick could be the right one, and with the short one, if it doesn't work, you're losing it in a very dangerous position. You know what I mean? Dangerous position. That the option always seems to be, let's find a short one, whereas there's no harm in just going back to 10 years ago and lumping a few down at times, you know.
I think at times that'll happen in the game. You're gonna end up just lumping it out and letting teams fight for it. That's just the way it is, because it's probably low risk. It could potentially be high reward for you if you do win it out the field, because teams are well pushed up. So I don't. For us, it's just trying to get possession from the ball at every kick out. Once you have the ball, it's what you do with it after that. So it's just, if it's not on, then trust your boys in the middle or trust your players at the field to win the break.
Come here, talk to me quickly about Graham Brodie. What do you think of his style? Because he's a lot, like, you get up the field a bit, but not usually on the kind of mad solo runs that he goes up on. He got caught against Westmeath, obviously, in the league, and there was a lot of talk about that, and this is too high risk. But John Sucru was saying that he's gone so many times that the scores that actually, come off it are very few. He's unique in the way he does it. You get up the field, but you kind of might get up maybe in a different way, not soloing the ball up there, So like it is, Niall Morgan is coming out an awful lot more this year, isn't it? So you're creating that extra man on the press. If you can get the kick out away, get it back, now you can calm down. You know, you have that extra man.
Yeah. I enjoy watching him now, to be honest. I know he got caught here that day against Westmeath, but I wouldn't punish him for it. Like, you know, at least he's trying to create something for the team. I'm not sure what was in it at that time, but you know, it's worked from last year a lot of the time. It's not going to work every time. You know yourself, it's going to be caught. Someone's going to get a score or two off it. You're just going to have to, you know, take the bad stuff with the good stuff. But I think most of the time with Graham, with Laois, it worked out. He helped them get back in that game against Wexford. I think was it that last year.
Yeah, last year.
You know, just draw men out if that was the case and creating space for other people. But yeah, there's people that are going to be in the crowd who are 10 years behind and
traditionalists don't like that.
They should just stay behind the 13-yard line. That's just the way it is, and people are like that. But some people probably enjoy seeing it. But I know there's definitely ones in the crowd that will be panic stations now when they see a keeper even leaving the 21.
Yeah,
definitely a Monaghan anyway.
Yeah, no, it is. Come here, talk to me quickly about Cavan. So you beat them in the league in Breffni Park. From the reports, it was a bad-tempered game. It's a local derby. You've had the upper hand on them. I think I was at the last time you played them in the championship in Kingspan Breffni, and you were lucky to get out that day. I think McManus kicked a few sensational scores in the second half. So like there'd be nothing easy in this one, I'm sure.
No, definitely not. I don't think the relegation, Cavan getting relegated, I don't think will have any bearing on it. I don't think that any league form will have any bearing on it. It's what whatever team shows up and whatever team, you know, is patient enough and makes the right decisions. You know, obviously, you alluded to there, Conor, a bit of class there a couple of years ago to get us out of it, and that's maybe what it's gonna take from either team to win the game. I know with Cavan, with the new manager Mickey Graham coming in, obviously I'm not sure what new style of play or whatever they're planning to do. You know, they'll have a spring in their step under new management like any team would. So we just have to be ready for that, ready for what Cavan's going to bring, because they have some quality players around the field that can really hurt you. So we just need to be on the ball and make sure our performance is right.
Yeah, and it's on Sky as well, which is nice to be on the telly, because provincial championship matches are few and far between on the television this year.
Yeah, it's good for the ones obviously abroad who will not get to see much Ulster football or anything. So
is it, cause Ulster Football Championship is a bit like the Munster Hurling Championship, isn't that you're very proud of it and you like it? So is it a bit of a kick in the arse that there's only going to be two games? Sky have one, RT have one before the final. You know, BBC are showing some deferred games. You know, the prestige of it isn't once what it was. Would that be fair to say? Yeah,
I'm not sure what the reason is. You know, there's been different when Tyrone, Donegal ourselves have won it the last number of years in terms of, well, us not since 2015, but you know, there hasn't been a dominance in terms of teams. Like Tyrone would have won it maybe twice in a row, Donegal, and then ourselves, but there's been a mixture between three teams, and then maybe the teams who haven't won it, like Cavan and Fermanagh there, now getting to an Ulster final. Yeah. It's quite competitive province, and I'm surprised maybe there's not more games being shown about it, but so obviously the powers to be have chosen that, and that's just what you have to accept. Yeah, exactly. Right, well listen, best of luck against Cavan, and we'll talk to you during the championship. Yeah, thank you. Fair play. Next up, we will do Paddy Power predictions. Paddy Power predictions, lads. So the big one this weekend is between Down and Armagh for me. You can make a case for Cavan Monaghan as well, another local derby. Double big games this weekend. It's hard to choose between the two. We'll stop with Down and Armagh. There was a brilliant interview with Darren O'Hagan in the Irish News website, which is actually brilliant for GEA, Ulster GEA. And I've only recently started visiting it very regularly, and it's very, 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 very good. He says, going into that game, this is the game where Down shocked Armagh 2 years ago in Newry. Well, I wouldn't say shocked, but Armagh were fancied anyways. So he says, now this will just show you the little bit of spice that's between the two teams. He says, going into that game, Oisin McConville was saying that Armagh had one of the best full forward lines in the country, and yet they were still in Division 3. It's a local derby, he says. He says, there's definitely no love lost. It's real. People probably think it's not. Brilliant, isn't it?
It's great to hear.
It's like, oh, we'll be respected, whatever. This is like, and there was something similar with Cavan and Monaghan as well. Like, I mean, not afraid to say this is a hated rivalry. We don't like Down very much, or we don't like Armagh very much. They're coming to our home patch, whatever. There's even a suggestion, was it Rory Beggan was saying that like there's a bit of banter going on that pitch, Park Elsker, is actually in Armagh. Like there's this kind of carry on going on at that side of the county, which is which is absolutely brilliant. And I remember Armagh years ago when they made the breakthrough. Soshi McConville and Diarmuid Marsden destroyed Down. Do you remember that time in the Ulster final? That was their was their big breakout moment, and it was my first kind of exposure to that kind of derby and the build up to that game. This is going to be a good one, lads, and it's going to be a contrast in styles. And we obviously have Paddy Talley on one side, and we know the type of style of play he likes to play, even though he kind of denies that a little bit. He says, talking before the game, he says, if you're looking at your team and you're saying, right, if we play a certain way, we'll be hard to beat and we'll make it difficult for the opposition, surely you'll do that.
Not a great denial, is it?
No, it's not a great denial, and he's pretty much doubled down on it. And like, hard to beat. So you're basing your game around hard to beat. So you think you're going to be beaten and you're going to make it hard to be beaten. What is the talk about winning?
Yeah.
You know, because making yourselves hard to beat, as we've analysed on the show loads of times, obviously takes away from your attacking threat. So I was surprised after all the analysis and everything, and how maybe Tyrone are changing and different teams are changing, that he's still looking at it about being hard to beat.
Yeah, he said a big part of winning games is how tight you are at the back.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a part of it, like, you know, not conceding more, but you have to score more.
But it's only an equal part of it to what's on the other side.
Well, especially if he's
If
he's defensive about the reputation of him being defensive coach, for him to come up with something like that, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Paddy Talley's an interesting one. I remember when he was with Derry with Brian McIver, and maybe it's just under a different manager, and in fairness he's managing Down now, but like Derry were good. Like, I know they had that game against Dublin and it's infamous now in Croke Park, but they got to the final and they beat Dublin at Celtic Park, and they were going at teams, and it was a running game, but it was based on taking men on, and Derry didn't have a great team, but they were really sort of taking the game to opposition.
Yeah.
And it was a we'll score more than you sort of approach, and apart, like, Talley was getting a lot of credit at the time for that.
Well, Down, when they got to the All-Ireland final, he was involved with them and they played a very attacking brand of football, and that was the Down way. But maybe, look, this is what he thinks. He is playing a counter-attacking style. Ryan Johnson is out, so he's a huge loss in that style, because he's a lovely ball player and he's always comfortable on the ball, not so much under pressure. Kevin McKernan will be their sweeper, we're fairly sure of that. Conor Harrison isn't playing as well as other years because this style of football absolutely doesn't suit him. We know the style of football suits him. It's nice diagonal balls into him. Big burly man, can take on his man and score. He won't be getting too many of them on counter-attacks. You know, you've Donal O'Hare, who's flying it in this style, because I think his club plays a little bit like that, and he comes on the loop, and that style of football perfectly suits him. So he's had a great league. So isn't it interesting? Like, I mean, personally, I would be playing to a style that can suit both of them rather than, you know, maybe one. I'm sure Conor Harrison isn't the loop type of forward, you know.
Put the thing into me, would you? Stop messing around.
And Down obviously have big problems winning primary possession from their own kickouts, because they don't have those big imposing midfielders, so they're going to be looking for short kickouts all the time. Like, I mean, so that's kind of the way we're looking at Down. Full-time sweeper, more players dropping back into it. We know if you were playing against Armagh in the morning, that's probably the style you play, because Armagh like to play a very obvious kicking game. So there's definitely a contrast in styles going to happen here.
Yeah, I do like the idea of Caelan Mooney playing midfield as well, as we were saying on Monday, was it, about playing a runner in midfield alongside Fletcher. I can't imagine a better player.
Yeah, but there's no way McGeaney will put Michael Shields on him. That's a fact.
Mark, you think he'll just follow him everywhere?
I keep Michael Shields, car player. Yeah, he'll just follow him, because he has got the pace. Well, not as fast as Mooney, but he'd have the fitness and the pace probably to stay with him. So they might have to sacrifice a midfielder to put Shields in midfield, you'd imagine.
Yeah, he sacrificed a centre forward, I remember, against Tipperary, and put Shields on Robbie Kelly. Told him they follow.
Oh, he did, yeah.
But Shields scored 2 points, I think, that game, but he was just man working Robbie Kelly everywhere he went.
Yeah, that's probably overthinking it. Although I don't think Kiley was he's nowhere near as dangerous as Caelan Mooney. Caelan Mooney is the kind of pace that would absolutely destroy you. But who did I have in midfield? Usually Armagh, like Grimley won't track Mooney. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no doubt about that. So I'd say Shields will pick him up. You'd imagine James Morgan will pick up O'Hare, and maybe Donaghy will pick up Harrison, or go back on Mackay will probably pick up Harrison either. I'd say one of the two of them, Brendan Donaghy. So like, it will be interesting, but the big thing about Armagh is to use their heads, right? So the analysis is clearly going to be when they drop men, and I'm sure Armagh will get videos. They'll be on to the Laois County Board, they'll be on to the Louth County Board, and they're trying to get a video of the Louth game, which was a do or die game, which you'd imagine that Down needed to win. That was the really low scoring one. Who's dropping back into zones? Identify which players we're going to have free around midfield, and make a nuisance of yourself. Try and get overlaps. And in general, lads, in this day and age, dropping back into zones is offering the other team up to your 45 unchallenged, right?
Yeah.
Unchallenged. You're in the position of power there. Dublin showed you the way. You know, you've got 2 or 3 extra players, create an overlap on one or the other side, and have movement inside, over and back the field. And, you know, like, I mean, this is stuff you can pre-rehearse if you go to the level of detail like Eamon Fitzmaurice. Identify when he drops into zones, you're free. You're completely free. They go into that zone, he's in that zone, he's in that zone. Our 3 players, I want to overload the other side. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure, like, I'm just throwing this out off the top of my head. I've never actually done run-throughs, or maybe that's even impractical. But look, when you are predictable in your defensive system, predictability isn't very good, because you kind of come up with
it's not going to be a surprise the way that Down are probably going to set up defensively. So you'd like to think that they've enough done. Like, it's just for Armagh, as you said, not to lose their heads and not to get panicky. I mean, like, I've seen Armagh, like, last few years, especially in Ulster Championship, where they're very much flatter to deceive, and where you're fancying them beforehand, and then they just because they can't implement the style of play that they want to play, they struggle as a result. So you mentioned the clash of styles. Like, it is very much a clash of styles. I think it could be a frustrating spectacle because of that. You know what I mean? Because Down are probably going to put men in front of. Are definitely going to put men in front of the Armagh full forward line, and it's how Armagh deal with that. But how Armagh deal with that might be, as you say, and it might be necessary, is just kind of backing over in front of the zone and being really patient and taking their time to probe and get the right attack.
I think they're going to have to do that. Now, we haven't seen Down, I don't know the level of defensive systems. Maybe they'd leave Harrison and O'Hare up and everybody else defends. That's probably most likely what to do. And they'll have, so yeah, I agree, Armagh are going to have to be moving it over and back. Armagh won't like that. But
that's the thing.
Armagh beat Fermanagh in the league at home, and I think that was probably the first time I've seen them, you know, be able to handle a good test run, and they celebrated that win. Fermanagh were flying it, and I think they've copped on, even from talking to Rory Beggan and stuff. I think that they have a style of play which is fantastic, and I like watching it, but it horses for courses, and this probably isn't. When the kick pass is on, give it, but don't force it. The message has to be to them, don't force it, because when you force it, it's going to be broken down to a sweeper. Kevin McKernan then is just going to set it up. He'll set Caelan Mooney on his way, you know what I mean, and then all of a sudden we're under pressure. So don't force the kick. Play your kicking game when it's on, right? Isn't that the way? And maybe play 2 inside. It's Rian O'Neill, you've Jamie Clark, and you've Stephen Campbell, then you're Rory Beggan on the 40. Am I leaving somebody out there?
Ethan Rafferty can come in as well.
Rafferty's another option. You could leave him and Rian O'Neill inside and play Jamie Clark out in front of them and be able to try and hit the diagonal ball. See, this is the thing, like, I mean, but again, we don't know exactly what kind of a zonal defensive system, because Galway, we know with Galway that they're zonal nearly lining up along the 45. And there is a kick over the top of that, do you know? So, like, we don't know. It's when they go zonal in the 2 sweepers either side, and then a couple more in the 45. Then you're like, don't kick it then.
I've seen Armagh sort of, surely they've learned enough lessons. There's too many games where they've been given like 2 or 3 sweepers, so they take it. But it's so easy, as you say, just to get past those sweepers when you've got a 70-yard build up and there's guys just standing there waiting to be taken on. Like, and I think the good thing about Vernon and Hall, who are sort of doing that wing forward role for them now, is that they're so eager to get back up the pitch and they want to affect the play. And it's proper, genuine running. It's not just, I better go up here and help out. They're trying to get back ahead of the play and be aggressive with it. So I think they will be good at maybe getting back and helping out when Mooney's looking to burst.
I think that's the thing.
But they'll be getting straight back.
But that's the thing, absolutely. When you're attacking, there's no need for that full-time sweeper back in front, because Down ain't going to kick it that far. Down are going to run it, and you can get back, right? If the ball is turned, even if the ball is turned over on the 45, you'll still have somebody that's maybe has 10-metre head start on them. Like, they can get back in front. Do you know what I mean? It's just work really hard. Don't give away the turnover. Work really hard to get it back. I think Fermanagh are sophisticated and Armagh are sophisticated, tactically smart enough to be able to go horses for courses and mix it up a little bit. They have more talented forward line, I think. I think where Armagh's problem might be is a little bit in defence, but that would be against the better teams. I know I went strong for Armagh 2 years ago in this one, lads, and I got caught rotten, but I'm going strong for them this Sunday. Sunday, right?
Yeah.
about you?
I'm not going. I'm not going very strong. Now I've said this before that like I get it because like Armagh have a serious forward line, and when they play a ball, they play a lovely brand of ball. But it's just their record concerns me, like especially their championship record. And I think I'd like to think that they're mentally strong enough not to let that make an impact on Sunday. But playing in Newry, even though it might be in Armagh, we're down at home. Down conceded just like 473 in the league. I think that's probably down to Paddy Tally's defensive system, whatever, it was only in Division 3. But they're mean enough at the back, and I think that they're probably thinking that this is the way to beat Armagh. And with the odds so close, I think I might just give it to Down.
Jeez, it'd be a disaster for McGeeney if they don't.
Yeah.
Now there is a lot of pressure on Armagh, and I'm sure this isn't easy. Because Rory Beggan again was talking this week, and he was talking about how Kieran Donaghy was a hero for all of them growing up, how he's a brilliant manager, how he helps them in their private lives, how, you know, the problem with Armagh is not Kieran McGeeney, it's the players not producing. So, like, I mean, the pressure on the Armagh players, lads, to go 5 years under McGeeney without winning an Ulster Championship match, and to twice in those 5 years be away to your biggest rivals. Like, I mean, that's embarrassing. It's not good for the squad to have that kind of pressure. So definitely, if it's close coming down the straight, they'll be under a lot of pressure. I think they're too good. I think when this is going to be a cagey game, you're looking at Conor Harrison, who's not a prolific scorer, who's not playing that well because you're looking at Donal O'Hare, really. Yeah. Whereas Armagh can hurt you with more players. I think that, and if Armagh can avoid the counter attack, and surely to God, there's no team really should be getting hit badly on counter-attacks anymore in Gaelic football. Well, then they should have too much firepower for them.
Yeah, and like outside of Ulster, the bigger picture the last 2 years is they have been doing well. Like in the Championship, they've won 7 games in the last 2 years out of 11. Like that's a lot of wins in the Championship. Yeah. And I know they lost to Fermanagh last year in Ulster, but so did Monaghan. And they've only been put out by Tyrone and Roscommon, who were probably ahead of them. You know, but in those like 2 years, they've beaten Kildare, they've beaten Tipperary, they've beaten Westmeath twice.
Even last year now, they were missing a lot of players. Yeah. They're a much different team than, I don't think they'd even lose to Roscommon with the team they have now.
And they beaten Clare in there as well. Like,
Kildare.
Like, so I think they haven't been going as badly as maybe like the Ulster Championship.
No, but the Ulster Championship still is a big deal, and this is going to weigh on them, you know. Like, I mean, that's a fact. Like
5 in a row sort of thing, like Ulster Championship.
Yeah, it would be bad. So come on, Conan, where you've got the casting vote here?
I'm going with Armagh. 5-6. I'm going for them.
Okay, 5-6. Right. Okay, that's a good one. So Cavan, Monaghan are the next one. So Cavan haven't beaten Monaghan in the Senior Football Championship for almost 18 years. They've played each other 3 times since Malachy O'Rourke has taken over Monaghan, and Monaghan won by a goal 2 years ago and by 1 point margins in 2015, 2013. 2 of those games were in Breffni Park. I'm trying to think of the sponsor you have to include in that, don't you? What is it? Kingspan Breffni Park. What happens if you just say Breffni Park? Do you get pulled up by the PRO in Cavan? I think I did get pulled up by him before, actually. So it's Breffni Park. So that's it. We talked about the midfield issues. Darren Hughes is definitely out. Niall Cairns is back. Kieran Hughes is back too. But I'm not sure Malachy O'Rourke is going to pair 2 fellas who are just back into a local derby against Gearóid McKiernan, for example. You know, like I think maybe Neil McAdam might mark Gearóid McKiernan might make sense because he's flying it apparently since he's come back from a serious injury in ACL, and he's meant to be absolutely flying it. But there is doubts about Neil McAdam and Gavin Dugan, so they're completely decimated in midfield. That was Malachy O'Rourke. Now I don't know if he's playing silly beggars there. Like obviously if these lads are injured, you're not going to be saying they're doubtful. Do you know what I mean? I think if they're okay, he'd say they're doubts, but if they're doubts, he might say they're flying. You know, you nearly take the opposite of what he's saying in the week leading up to a game.
Cavan always seem to drag Monaghan into like a dogfight that they don't really want to be in, but they're always up for it. But Monaghan always seem to get out of it, even though it looks perilous for them.
Yeah. Well, Monaghan get out of it because Kieran McManus pulls it out of the fire, and Cavan, without being too basic about it, Cavan have no Kieran McManus or anywhere close to him on the full forward line, so they can't get those special points. They work so hard, and they're a match for Monaghan right from half back, like the middle third. Yeah. They're a match, and they're able to compete with them, and it's the difference of the full forward lines, and I think that's what it's going to be again. Like, I mean, you're talking
pretty much,
like it does come down to that. Cause when you look at Cavan, even Cavan up front, they've no injury worries, absolutely none. Gearóid McKiernan's back. he'll have to play in midfield because they don't have enough in midfield. Like you'd probably prefer to play McKiernan at centre half forward for a bit of size and more of a scoring threat if they had David McGivney, who hasn't played in a long time in midfield, but they're struggling midfield. They play Clark there.
Clark,
he's an ex fullback. I don't think he's not a top level intercounty. He's maybe a foil for Gearóid McKiernan, which is fine, but he's not your typical dominating forward or midfielder. But up front, right, so they'll potentially have a half forward line of Martin Riley, Darren McVitie and Cian Mackey. Now, that's as industrious and as footballing a half forward line as anywhere else in the country, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. You've got vision. Martin Riley's a brilliant passer. McVitie's a speed demon, fast runner. He can score, and we know what Cian Mackey is. He's just has a brilliant brain on him. So if you're in a good full forward line, if you're Conor McManus and you've those three outside you, you're rubbing your hands.
Yeah.
They just don't have that danger inside, lads. That's the reality of it. Like, I mean, and then you'd have midfield, you'd have Gearóid McKiernan, and you'll probably have Clark, which is solid, can put it up to anyone, and we know the Cavan defence is mean. So the problem is the full forward line. I know I keep coming back to it, and it has been probably the Achilles heel of the tactics they've been using the last few years, in that because when you play a little bit defensively or drop players back, you need the top level forwards to make the most of a 2v1, you know what I mean? Or get you a Kieran McManus point out of nothing, and then you scrand, and then you get a few frees, and you know, like, I mean, now they have moved away from that. They've moved away from that, those tactics a little bit, but they still just don't have that lethal full forward. I don't care. And like, I mean, when you look at David McGivney and Eugene Keating, who are missing now, they've been missing for a while, so you can't keep saying they're missing. But think of their team if those two were playing. So you'd have McGivney in midfield. That would put Gearóid McKiernan in at centre half forward. You'd have Eugene Keating, who's a brilliant ball winner, playing at full forward. So now you have a target man in the full forward line who can score.
Well,
you have Gearóid
McVitie inside.
You could put McVitie beside him and then have Martin Riley and Mackey. And now look, so now your midfield has McGivney and Clark. Half forward line has Martin Riley, Gearóid McKiernan, Cian Mackey. Then you have McVitie and Eugene Keating in full forward. Now you've you know what I mean? A much stronger. Isn't it mad how two players could make such a difference to them?
Yeah. I just wonder in Monaghan's case though how close they are to like really being in that top bracket, because it looked last year that they were going to be top four. Like, you know, it looked like they were pushing into that, and like, I know they didn't have a good
top four,
like a top four team.
When?
When they got to the semi-final last year.
Monaghan, you mean? You said Cavan.
Yeah, sorry, Monaghan. Sorry, she clarified that at the very start. He's away on one here. But like, they didn't have a good league campaign, but I just wonder, are they looking to hit the championship now? Like, you know, they got to the semi-final last year.
I'm not sure.
I think the injuries were a big thing during the league, and some of the games, like Rory Beggan was saying there, could easily have gone either way. Like that was, you know, they beat Dublin, then the next two games could have gone either way. I can't recall which ones they were. They lost to Roscommon, and I think the Tyrone one could have gone either way.
Yeah, Monaghan was the last game to get a man sent off early.
They played well in that one. Even though it was away from home. Fintan Kelly was harshly sent off. I don't think they're that far off. Like, I mean, if you turn two of those, if you know, a draw or a loss into a win, then you're up to mid-table, and then suddenly we can't really judge too much from the league. I'd be judging Monaghan more on last year's championship.
Yeah, and they have a lot of individual match winners as well. Even if you go back to like Fintan Kelly and Carl O'Connell, they have all these different types of threats all over the team, so they really excite me. I remember being at the Tyrone game in the semi-final, sort of hoping Monaghan get in, because I thought they could pose Dublin a bigger threat, just because they have the like of McManus boys who could win a game for you. I know you need more than that against Dublin, but that's what they have, and that's why I sort of think that they're going to have far too much here for Cavan. I actually think it might be a bit more comfortable than it has been in the last few years.
Right, okay. I don't, unless
I'm not sure it'll be that comfortable, and that's purely because of, well, for me anyway, it's purely because a lot of the injuries that Monaghan have had, and how close these lads are going to be.
Yeah, and they rarely blow top teams away, Monaghan. I mean, any Division 1, Division 2 team, Monaghan might have blew a few Division 4 teams away last year, but they're not.
They didn't even blow them away in the qualifiers.
Not massively.
Yeah. Well, and I remember like Carlo going really close against them a couple of years ago as well. So it's just with that, and with them having I don't think the league was a true reflection for Monaghan either. But I just think I think they will come good eventually, but they might be a while away from coming good. I think they'll win this one. Like it does, like as simplistic as it sounded, it does boil down to that Cavan just not having the man inside that can do the damage. And I think that's why Cavan haven't been able to sustain themselves in Division 1 in recent years, because they haven't had that top quality. I remember seeing them against Mayo Mayo and Castlebar. I thought they were really good outside of that, and Mayo kind of had them wrapped up. But I don't think it'll be as comfortable as you say, but I think Monaghan maybe by 3 to 4.
They do usually only win by a point, in fairness, so we should probably just retract that very quickly.
The Monaghan forward line will be interesting. So, like, I mean, they have Conor McCarthy, they've Jack McCarran, they've Ryan McAnespie, they've Shane Carey, they've Stephen O'Hanlon, they've Conor McManus. Then they have Fintan Kelly and they have Dermot Malone. Now, I know Malachy O'Rourke likes to play Fintan Kelly and Ryan McAnespie as your typical wing forwards that will do an awful lot of work for you. McAnespie might pop up with a couple of scores as well, which is a bonus. Fintan Kelly will get around the field. So then you're left with Jack McCarran, Shane Carey, Stephen O'Hanlon, Conor McCarthy and Conor McManus for the 4 positions. So there's some of them going to lose out. Be interesting to see what he does. I like Jack McCarran a lot at centre half forward because I think he gives lovely ball in. I think he might flatter to deceive a little bit on the full forward line with being double marked and everything. Like, when you think of his good games, they've been against Dublin, who don't pack any defence. You know, he gets space and he's a brilliant finisher, we know that, but he gives a lovely ball in. Now, whether he's trusted to track and do the work at centre half forward, that's the only question there. Shane Carey, he will do the work, but he probably drifts in and out of games. Stephen O'Hanlon is a player really exciting that we probably all like. Conor McManus and Conor McCarthy. And Conor McCarthy probably needs to step up to the mark. So maybe you go Stephen O'Hanlon, Conor McCarthy, Conor McManus, full forward line, Jack McCarran centre forward, Ryan McAnespie and Fintan Kelly either side of him, and Shane Carey loses
Kieran
out.
Hughes I'd be putting in full forward.
Well, you see, he's been seen at midfield really now. Well, Kieran Hughes is who I probably would play in there
I'd
as
play
well.
him in. Like, there's so many like bad passes and bad shots in
Why
a game.
has he gone off Kieran Hughes so much? Like, maybe he's been struggling with injury and we don't know. He either plays him in midfield, he's gone off him completely as a man inside with McManus.
Yeah, you need to be able to win your own ball. You know, I know they all can, but like, he can win any type of ball. He can win a bad ball into him, and that's just something special. Remember that point he got against Tyrone Croke Park last year? Oh, yeah. Nobody else gets that point, like, because it's such a hard ball to win, and then they take it on past 2 people. Yeah, chip it over your head.
No, he's very good here, and we're going to leave this one on this. This is a good one again. Jeez, lads, this Irish news, some great interviews there that I'm after picking up this week. Now, I have to say, Eamon Fitzmaurice was interviewed was in the Irish Examiner. And that was very good if you're looking for that. So Raymond Galligan, Cavan goalkeeper. So I never thought about this either. So it's a really good one. So he says he's talking about he's the free taker. He used to be full forward and he's converted back to a goalkeeper. So he takes the frees. Now they have been inconsistent with frees. So he's been talking about seeing Niall Morgan's stats and stuff, and saying that Niall Morgan's stats are in around 1 in 3 for his outside 45s and all that, and saying he was looking into it. But he's the free taker, so he's taken shots definitely from 45 and out. So here's what he says. So he's talking about, I never thought about this dynamic. So say a forward tells a goalkeeper he's taking this free. A goalkeeper doesn't choose. Right, so he says, so he's down in the goals, right? So he says, when you're looking from the goals, it's hard to see, and then you get the wave up. I think you think it must be within scoring range, and then when you get up there and see it's 6, no, you know where this is going. And then when you get up there and you see it's 60 yards, and you think, Jesus. So so this is it. You poor goalkeeper, like, you can't from the goals kind of gauge where we are here, and then you have some weasel of a force like, come on, I don't, because there's nothing short on, and I'm not standing over this, so I'm going to bring you up, and then you get up there and you're like, holy shit, you bollocks.
You're not going to run 100 yards and go piss off.
This is what he says, and then he says, and then it's a case of, well, I'm here now, so there's no option. And then by the time he's run up, there's no short one on. So you land up there. Have you ever seen a goalkeeper go, no, I'll pass it? Runs back. So that's it. Like, I often see Dean Rock, and he might turn around to Cluxton, and Cluxton might run a little bit, and then he'd stop, as in, no, I'm not having that. and then he has to be beckoned again, and you're off again. And without these levels of insights, there's things you're not really putting 2 and 2 together with. That the actual perception of the distance from the goals is completely impossible. So you're not choosing the free. Someone is choosing it for you. So I thought it was very good. Right, we'll do predictions on this one. So Cavan are 2-1, 21-10 according to Paddy Power, and Monaghan are 8-15. So Paddy Power is very sure of how this one's going to go. To be honest with you, I'm going to go for Monaghan as well. Although there has to be a little bit of a shock this weekend, and I have a feeling Armagh are going to win. the whole Mickey Graham thing, I don't know. Look, the smart money's on Monaghan, lads. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, it is hard to make a case for Cavan, really. So I'm going to go with Paddy Power 8-15 with Monaghan.
Yeah, I'm going with Monaghan as well.
Yeah, same as.
Okay, last one then for the predictions, lads, is Sligo Galway. We've seen Galway already in the championship, unimpressive. Even though they had most of pretty much their first choice defence, really. And Tomas Flynn in midfield with Michael Daly, I'm not sure which one he goes. It's up front, they're lacking numbers, even though Ian Burke, Shane Walsh, Danny Cummins is pretty decent full forward line by any stretch of the imagination. So they're poor against Galway. Sligo had the worst defensive record in the whole league, 140 points. Next worst was Roscommon on 121. I thought that was interesting, considering Roscommon are flirting with a defensive system, even though they are up against the Kerrys and the Dublins and whatever. So Sligo in Division 3 conceded 140. So they've long-term injuries with Kevin MacDonald and Ross Donovan, and then Charlie Harrison retired, and David Kelly's taken a year out. So, like, I mean, they're down to the bare bones. And from reading between the lines on match reports, is Paul Taylor is not exactly packing the defence. The game between Sligo and Offaly was a very good footballing game. We know John Maughan plays a traditional style of football as well. So, like, I mean, if Sligo are going to leave the defence open a little bit against Galway, the handicap here is -9. I went on my accumulator for Paddy Power. I went for Galway -9 in this one, because I think Galway will bounce back after the disappointing performance against London, and I think there'll be too much for Sligo to the tune of more than 9 points.
I would agree, yeah. I think Galway were playing better last year, but I think they beat Sligo by 21 points.
21
points,
yeah.
like that.
They were in better form last year.
Yeah, they were in better form last year.
But Sligo were playing a very defensive system last year, and they still hammered them.
Scored 4-24, I think, or something last year.
Yeah.
I'd say there's an element of Paul Taylor just wanting this year to end. It's been a bad year. It's been his first year, been a bit of a baptism of fire. Didn't win a single game, conceded 15 goals, I think, in the league. So what did you say, 140 points?
Well, that's
total?
Including the 50 goals.
Oh, right, okay, but it doesn't strike me that he's playing some sort of defensive game, and you can't. I don't think you can just turn around and say, right, we're playing Galway, so we're going to pack the defence, without having played that way all through the league.
Paul Taylor is obviously a similar era to me, a little bit older, and he would have come up through the style of football he likes. He's a class player, and maybe that's not what he believes in, and you respect that, but I respect that in Division 3. I don't respect it if you're going to play Galway and thinking, like, it's like Leitrim. Like, I mean, let's be honest, play at your own level with that nice style. But when it comes up to the provincials, when it's completely unfair and the odds are stacked against you, then don't play that style then.
It's coming at a good time for Galway. They need to kind of play themselves back into form a little bit. Like, by all accounts, they were lucky against London. London had a couple of goal chances, could even have snuck it. And I was just checking there, nobody apart from Ian Burke scored more than 2 points from play against London. So this is the ideal chance for them to get a bit of form back before what will definitely be a bigger game in the Connacht final.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he can pack the defence in sort of short notice. I don't think it's like, there's any big science behind it. You just get everybody behind. I think
the defensive side is simple.
Oh yeah.
I think the other side is, and even teams doing it a long time can't get the scores.
Yeah. So if they're looking at that and thinking, we've conceded a lot here, and we're going up against Galway, one of the best teams in the country, let's just practice getting everybody into zones and keep the damage down, which they might do.
And ruin my prediction at -9.
No, I still think it would be -9 would be still a safe bet. The Ciarán Malloy thing fascinates me. With Galway, I can't understand how he's not in the team.
You love Malloy.
I know, but he's unbelievable. And I just thought, is it too attacking? Is that what the problem is, or will they bring him in now after sort of flattering to deceive against London?
So who is he replacing in that?
See, Gary O'Donnell's captain, I think, standing captain, isn't he? So, he's the one. Liam Silk isn't not. You could play Liam Silk as a marking cornerback and play Malloy then, or you could play Killian McDade. John Daly's supposed to be a good player. He's Michael Daly's brother. So, they've a few bits and pieces to iron out. But again, we need to see Galway against some of the big teams to see. They absolutely need to evolve from last year. Absolutely need to. What happened last year, the way they played last year won't work this year. And you'd be a fool to think we're going to do the same as we did last year and improve. I don't think they will. They need to maybe bring it on another level. I think if they had Liam Silk back in the full back line and they had those two wing backs, I think that they'd have a much stronger looking team. But anyways, are we all going for Galway -9 here? We're going to have to wrap this up. Okay, great stuff. We'll have to leave it there. Obviously, Cavan Monaghan is on Sky Sports on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. and then the Down Armagh game is the 3rd on BBC. Hopefully a bit earlier this week than 7 o'clock, but it's probably going to be 7 o'clock just to give me something to give out about. Alright, we'll come back with Joe from Paddy Power. Okay, Joe, we'll start with the GE Hour accumulator, and I was 2 for 4 last week, which is nothing to be proud of and nothing to be ashamed of, really, is it? Maybe a little bit ashamed?
I mean, middle of the road. Well, look, in fairness, the football ones were sort of harder to call last weekend. I think even the games that were won were tighter than people expected them to be and that sort of thing. So we won't be too hard on you. It was only your first week, so plenty of chances. So
it was accumulators that kind of got me, I think, last week. So this week there's only 3 games, right? So I've gone for an Armagh win, a Monaghan win, and Galway -9 because of Sligo's deplorable defensive record throughout the league. So what odds have you boosted me up on my accumulator this week?
Yeah, so for those 3 selections, naturally we're coming in at 9-2 on the odds on side, but we've just pushed that out a little bit to 11-2. So hopefully between the charity bet and anyone else who wants to agree with you and get on that, they can get on site. Hopefully it'll be a good win.
Yeah, so 5.5 to 1 on those 3. Like, I mean, you'd be surprised if those 3 don't come up. You'd be very disappointed if those 3 don't come up, no? Like, I mean, you
would be, but both the Ulster games are nearly coin tosses to a certain extent as well. So, yeah. I mean, we'll hope you get a win anyway.
Okay, so you have some power prices here that you want to tell me about.
Yeah, just a few across the weekend that we've boosted the odds on there, the pair prices. So Monaghan and Armagh to win, the slight favourites in both games. That was 7-4, and it's just been pushed out to 2-1. And then on the flip side of that, the kind of underdogs in both the games, Cavan and Down to win, was 6-1, and now that's 7-1 in the Ulster doubles. And one other pair price there just to tell you about is Conor McManus and Shane Walsh, both to score a goal this weekend, which was 11-1. It's just been pushed out to 12-1.
Okay, very good. That's probably a long enough shot for the two of them to score a goal.
Yeah.
Maybe Conor McManus doesn't get that many goals. Few points definitely. So Saturday then is the Cavan Monaghan game. That's on Saturday nights on Sky. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, there's a few bits to look at. I mean, I think Cavan are a pretty big price realistically, are over 2-1 with Mickey Graham in at the helm, and he's got the Mullinachta factor.
They're a very good price.
Yeah, I think they're a great price. I mean, in every game between Cavan and Monaghan over the last few years, I can't remember one where there was more than kind of a kick of a ball between them.
Yeah.
Granted, Monaghan have got over the line most of the time, but one thing I think better definitely look at with Cavan being at home, I think they'll be coming out hell for leather, absolutely flying. So maybe Cavan at half time and Monaghan to win a full time was 4-1.
That's a good one. Is the 2-point handicap a little bit stingy when they're 2-1, or is that usually the way it works?
No, it is a bit. I think it's just on the basis like the Monaghan have won all the games against Cavan, but they're always so tight that even though you kind of generally you'd expect Monaghan to win the game, you can't see them winning it by much either way. So that kind of keeps the handicap a bit smaller than it might normally be with the general match odds. I was just saying there, we're expecting Cavan to come out flying, even if Monaghan weren't to win the game. Cavan to be leading at half time at 9-5 as well, I think is a good price. I think they're going to have to come out and throw absolutely everything at Monaghan in the first half and try to get their noses in front and then see how they get on from there.
Yeah.
With that being said, again though, Monaghan's record against Cavan, and it's been very tight the last while. Monaghan to win by 1 to 3 points is 13-5. So I mean, Monaghan are 8-15 to win the game. They're probably not going to win it by much if they do, and 13-5 then will just give you a bit of an extra boost for Monaghan to win a tight one.
Yeah, a good one. And then no goal scorer is 9-2, which obviously when we're seeing these two teams in a local derby, it'll be tight, it'll be tense. You could maybe see it finishing up 15-13 or something like that.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of goals scored by either team traditionally in the fixture over the last while, and even in the league they haven't been putting up big figures, particularly in goals. So I think that could be 9-2 with no goal score. It might be one of the best bets you'd have of the weekend.
Okay, Sunday down 6-5, Armagh 5-6, slight favourites Armagh. What have you got here?
Yeah, we're looking at it similarly to Monaghan to win the game by 1 to 3, of Armagh down to win the game by 1 to 3 points at 11-4. I mean, they're 5-6 to win it. Normally, I can't see this game being much in it. I don't actually fancy either team to go on and do much this year, but I think just the desperation of Armagh, like they just have to win an Ulster Championship game. This one, like there's a nice local rivalry there again. They just seem to have kind of the stronger team overall. I just expect them to have a little bit more in the tank to win the game, and particularly with Jamie Clark and Grugan and that in there in the forwards. I think they'll dig out the win, but to win by 1 to 3 points I think could be a good one at 11-4. And on that then with Jamie Clark, to be the first goal scorer is 15-2, and to be an anytime goal scorer is 3-1 this weekend. I think if Armagh to win, Jamie Clark has to turn up, and he's going to have to put the points on the board. So I think he'll also probably get one under the black spot too, all going to plan. So we'll see how he gets on.
Okay, good one there. Sligo then 10-1, Galway 1-25. I'm fancying Galway to beat the 9-point handicap. probably based off Galway's poor performance against London. So, like, I mean, I think this handicap is a sitting duck.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I looked at it, first of all, I was kind of going, geez, only 9 points. Like, they only scraped over London realistically, but as you say, like, that can nearly be nearly turn it on its head. Then
sometimes that works for the punter, doesn't it? A poor performance brings
straining,
it in.
they'll be straining to get out on, and like London's always kind of a toughish place to go. So you're only getting into championship. There's so much going on around the game. You can lose focus fairly easily. And looking at it as well, I mean, last year in the exact same fixture in Markievicz Park, Sligo were beaten by 21 points by Galway, and they scored about 420 something in the match. Like, so you'd expect the Galway forwards to be straining at the least to get out there and put up a good score. So yeah, that -9 at evens for Galway looks pretty good.
Yeah, and then 10 to 12 points. It has to be in between the 10 to 12, does it? From 10 to 12 or 4 to 1 or above 10?
Well, there's a few markers there. One of the markers is you kind of have 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and so on. So
okay.
In fairness, we're generally pretty good at getting the handicap almost bang on. And if the handicap -9 to Galway for them to win by 10 to 12 points would be the natural follow on from that. And it's 4 to 1. Obviously, it's a bit more specific bet. But if you're looking for better odds or longer odds, the 4 to 1 there for Galway to win by 10 to 12 could be worth looking at.
Okay, brilliant stuff. You still haven't told me how you get the handicap so right outside. You're being still a bit vague. I need to know this secret, but I think we'll
trade secrets coming out yourself.
All right, okay, we'll be back on Monday. That's all the time we have this week. We're back on Monday with a review show with Keane and Conan again as usual. We talk to you then. Good luck.